On August 12, 1994, the infamous Major League Baseball strike began, which resulted in the cancellation of the remainder of the season, including the World Series. Unfortunately, baseball fans never got a chance to possibly see if Roger Maris' single-season home run record would have been broken, or if Tony Gwynn would have finished with that magical .400 batting average, or if the Montreal Expos would have been able to win the World Series, which may have possibly saved the franchise from relocating to Washington, D.C. Easily lost and forgotten in all this was an odd situation that I would have liked to have seen played out. 90 Sports Nostalgia presents Strangest MLB Seasons, the AL West in 1994. From 1969 to 1993, only 2 teams from each league were headed to the MLB postseason. 1994 would be the advent of the wild card, as the American League and the National League each realigned with 3 divisions, and each league would now have 4 participants in the postseason. The newly formed 4-team AL West would include the California Angels, the Oakland A's, the Seattle Mariners, and the Texas Rangers. For the 1994 season and beyond, this division would have several high-caliber players. The Mariners and Rangers had 2 of the best offenses on paper. Both offenses would really explode in the subsequent years, which would help them be competitive in the 90s. Meanwhile, the Oakland A's still had some talents, but that championship window from the late 80s, early 90s was just about shut, as the A's were not quite at that rebuilding stage yet. And lastly, the California Angels had some talent on their starting staff and a couple of underrated hitters, but really wasn't expected to make any noise. It was the Texas Rangers who were on top of the division for the vast majority of the season. But when the 1994 season stopped in mid-August, this is what the standings in the AL West looked like. Yes, this is all real, and as you can see, the Texas Rangers were the division leaders while being 10 games under 500 with about 75% of the season already completed. To further illustrate how amazing this is, the first place Rangers had a worse record than the last place team in the AL East and the AL Central. If the 94 season wasn't canceled and play continued, for the Texas Rangers to finish at 500, they would have needed to go 29-19 in their final 48 games. Additionally, if each team in the AL West continued to play at the winning pace they were competing at, this is what the final standings would have looked like. Texas would have been sitting on top at 74-88 and would be heading to the postseason. Previously, the team with the worst record to make it to the MLB postseason was the 73 Mets at 82-79. As I'm not including the Kansas City Royals during the 1981 strike-shortened season, but can you imagine a 74-88 team going to the playoffs? Yes, each of these teams had the ability and the talent to score runs, but the offense wasn't enough to overcome the pitching that was far from spectacular, which is probably the main reason for these teams to be distant from having a winning record. It would have been quite fascinating to see how this division would have played out. The sports media wasn't as crazy with lunacy back then as it is today, with the ridiculous rapid overreactions trying to sensationalize items that shouldn't be too controversial, but it still wouldn't have been a good look if the 94 season played out and the division winner was double-digit games under 500. This just happened to have been a freak season. Strangest MLB Seasons, the AL West in 1994.